on this episode of the Grit and Grain podcast.
We could never really be intimate like the Parkway, but we could be a little bit in certain areas.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
like our balcony when we had you could go on the internet, and people would pay money like for half an hour or an hour. We were voted like #1 place to watch porn for it.
Welcome to the Grit and Grain podcast, where we explore and celebrate the craft beer industry, community, and history in Tacoma, Washington, and surrounding Pacific Northwest areas. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let's get to it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Grit and Grain podcast, coming to you guys from the Parkway Tavern in Tacoma, Washington. My name is Matt McLaren, and I'm here with Ron Swarner.
Hello.
How's it going?
Great.
Good. And then Sean Jackson, as always.
Hello, everybody.
Thanks as always for listening. If you're just tuning in to this one for the first time, we try to keep everything local to Tacoma and anything that impacts the Northwest beer community or industry or history. And the person that we're talking to today kind of covers all of those things for quite some time. So, Sean, who are we talking to today?
The one and only Jack McQuade, one of the proprietors of the Swiss Tavern. Absolute benchmark, cornerstone staple of Tacoma.
Yay!
Long time.
Too kind. Thank you very much.
Oh, no, it's true life.
It's true.
So, yeah, thanks for hanging out, Jack. We've been, there's a small list of people that Sean was like, hey, man, if we're going to do this, there's specific people I'd really like to talk to, and your name was probably first or second. So.
I appreciate that. I've been out of the scene for a couple of years, but it's always nice to be remembered.
Oh, it's all right. I think a lot of people in Tacoma have a lot of memories of your specific work.
Or on a good night, lack of memory.
Yeah, exactly. Or, that might be.
Yeah. We've got some of
What's
those
the Venn diagram?
nights, I don't know.
Sean, your taxi's here.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jack was the Swiss Tavern for a long time, which we were kind of BSing before the podcast, and there was a hot minute in Tacoma where if you wanted good beer, there was about 2 or 3 places to get it, and the Swiss was one of them for, a while. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know the whole story actually, and there's not a ton of places where you can find the whole story. So I'm curious how everything started.
Well, it was put together by my business partner, Bob Hill. He was the nighttime bartender for 12 years up in Engine House number 9. I was the daytime bartender for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And Gayl Bertagni was Bob's partner and a really fantastic chef. And so the three of us got together, and we had one financial guy, kind of a back-end, and it took us 6 months to remodel. Bob actually found the place down on, the old Swiss Tavern, which, back then it wasn't, it was kind of an eyesore. Actually, the city of Tacoma was going to shut it down because it was a drug haven. They had secret surveillance across the street, and the plywood was going to go on the windows, but we were able to get in there before they shut it down. So we got in there in September, by the end of September of 92. Took us 6 months of remodeling, and then we opened up in April 1993.
Do you remember the tap list of that opening tap list?
Yeah, we actually we had eight beers on tap. We had Guinness, we had a Harp, we had John Courage, which you don't see anywhere now.
No. Yeah.
We had Foster's, Rainier. I think we had a Hefeweizen, and then we had Alaskan Amber, which when we first opened up, we sold the most kegs of Alaskan Amber in the state of Washington for that month.
Man.
So yeah, it was kind of nice for us. People knew about us from Engine House number 9, and so when we did finally get the doors opened up, they were just chomping at the bit to come in. But when we were doing the remodeling, every time we go out and about, people say, well, when are you guys going to open up? And we say, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
for 6 months.
So
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks
Check back.
2 weeks is a good amount of time to keep them on the hook. And so from that, that's how we got our names for sandwiches. Mm-hmm. So one of the sandwiches was the fortnight, which means 2 weeks.
That's great.
So from that, we had the todays, the yesterdays, the tomorrows. And so
that's great.
That's how
I didn't know that's where that came from.
Oh, yeah. And Bob Hill has the original chalkboard menu we had above the kitchen. He has it at his house now.
So. Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I never asked. I never understood.
but
I didn't ask. Like, oh, fuck is
yeah. I asked.
We like to make people like,
you
hey,
would.
What's a fortnight? You know, well, look it up. So
means a whole other thing now.
Yeah. It's a delicious sandwich too.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
So you grew up in South Tacoma.
Yep.
Did you hang out with Keith?
Keith was a couple years younger. I hung out with his brother Kevin.
Okay.
And we played sports together. Keith was a little younger, but we're all South End Boys Club. We're South Side T-Boys.
Which Keith are we talking about for people who don't know?
Keith Carpenter?
Yep.
Yeah.
So the night you hosted Mac and Jack's, the beer dinner, I sat next to Keith and he told me all those stories.
Yeah. Yeah, those were great dinners, and thanks to Ron for always writing kind words about it. We had Keith was early on. Manny was from Georgetown, was our first one.
It was.
Because Manny, I don't know if you guys know about it, but Manny was the guy on the streets for Mac and Jack's
for a while.
5 years.
Yeah.
He worked that beer, and we had it on tap. And then when he comes in the door, and I go, hey, we just blew our cake yesterday, but we're going to get back on. And so they were always going to say, hey, we'll give you a little slice of the pie, and they didn't after 5 years, so he quit. And a year later, him and Roger got together, and they've been going strong ever since. Number one in the state, and they're the nicest guy in the beer business too.
Oh yeah,
Roger and Manny, yeah.
Yeah, we did a long one with them, and Keith was sitting in the room, and he wouldn't let us talk about him then. But he's not here to tell us not to now.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know, Keith Carpenter is considered a legend in the beer industry in Washington, and it was Manny for a long time, putting Mac and Jacks everywhere. But for quite a bit of time, if you had Mac and Jacks anywhere ever, you probably had Keith Carpenter to thank for it.
Oh yeah.
It was Washington's favorite craft beer for the longest time. It was a gateway beer for everybody who drinks beer now. It was the first beer that I had. It was the second beer that I had legally. Manny's and then Mac and Jack's on my 21st birthday, which is the same for so many people.
And everyone calls it Mac and Jack's.
I know.
Yeah. And it's nice thing back then too is you couldn't get it in cans, or you only get it, even Manny, he only put it in cans during the pandemic for a fundraiser for the restaurant workers. But other than that, you have to go to your local place to find it, which is, I think it's a great thing because, keeps everybody
in the bars.
Busy, yeah.
In the bars.
In the bars. And
hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Freaking Keith.
As far as beers go in beer lineups, I remember there was a point where you guys had Diamond Knot Industrial IPA. And that was a big deal. That beer was like wildfire. You're the only place in town that had it.
Yeah, we were fortunate to get a lot of one-offs or, special ones. And then we had one from Skagit River that I didn't tell Josh Hill how strong it was. I forgot to, and it was Trumpeter Stout, and it was like 11%. I don't know, it was way up there. And we had a little incident with some of the regulars that night, but that was my problem.
Before the time of
my fault for not
glasses,
saying, hey, you should probably limit the regulars to a couple pints, not more than that.
Yeah, Trumpeter was dangerous.
11% stout.
I remember you guys had Grandpa Clem's on all the time, too.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I would always have a couple before I went home, and then Grandpa Clem's was a great one. I still have the original tap handle. It was actually hand carved by someone from the brewery. So,
what made you guys bring that stuff on? That was one-off stuff, at that time, you guys were taking a big risk on shit that nobody had ever heard of. Where was your head at when you were bringing this stuff in?
Well, just listen to our customers, and they were, if you can get your hands on it, we'll be coming in. So we just tried almost everything, and there were some different ones that, didn't sell quite well, but but the majority of them did sell.
Yeah.
Except for one. Never buy a beer that you haven't tasted. It won the homebrewers award of the year or something. It was the best one from Sam Adams, and it was a hazelnut brown.
Oh, man.
Tastes like someone went down to a local espresso store and got a bottle of hazelnut syrup and put it in a brown ale. That one sat for a while. But no, doing the one-offs and doing the series of 2 years, 3 years behind, and especially with Snowcap, we did a lot of those, and that was great because.
Oh yeah, you guys had like verticals on.
Verticals, yeah. We were.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're on
You must have been the first place in Tacoma to do that kind of
started
stuff.
with that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just, I'm willing to wheel and deal all the time and talking to the guys, and they're like, hey, I got this idea. And I go, well, let's try it. And we weren't corporate, so.
Could make your own decisions.
Bob, Gayl, and myself, we'd always, try different things. And, hey, you got to be, you got to try something.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hales. Well, Mike and the double-decker bus.
Yeah.
I think you had some rides on the bus, yeah?
Yeah, we had a few rides, and yeah, Mike. I remember Mike back in the E9 days when we worked there. He'd come all the way over and would deliver kegs from Eastern Washington. So that was, he was a great guy. He retired this last year, wasn't it?
I think it's been a couple years.
Couple years.
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, double-decker bus. Those were cool.
Huh?
Yeah.
I think somewhere in some photo albums I've seen some like a photo timeline of like, here's the bus, here's that, and then here's people asleep on various couches and floors, and you're one of the people.
I like to see that. Make sure it's really
I'll
me.
get it during the break.
It's really me.
It's one of those non-memories from the Swiss.
Non-memories, yeah.
Yeah, the non-memory.
But like when the beer reps were doing stuff, like we went to Thomas Kemper in a bus, and so everybody met at the Swiss, and all the other bars met there, and we got on this bus and went to Paulsbo and did their Oktoberfest, and
dude, Thomas Kemper Oktoberfest,
everybody's doing the chicken dance, and let's just say they didn't ask us back the next year. It was yeah.
So you did it right.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
I think when Big John Huey, or what John, but we always call him Huey. Huey. He had his whole pockets full of apple strudels, and I don't know. It was like it was pretty crazy. But those were good old times.
Tell us about your relationship with Chihuly. You had that wonderful glass behind the bar, and his studio is right down the street.
Yeah, that's one thing we always, from day one, the Swiss was really. It was a restaurant, it was a pub, it was a music venue, it was an art gallery, kind of all wrapped up. And the Chihuly crew was coming in quite a bit when they were installing the Union Station. And Jeff Tackard was working that night, and Chihuly came in and said he'd like to put some glass on top. And Bob and Gayl ran down there, and they started talking to him. And the next couple of days, it happened, and they were up there for the whole time we were in existence, and about 25 years those were up. And they would come every 2 months and clean them. And then so many years into it, they go, "Okay, Jack, it's your turn." So I got my big ladder out, and I would clean them. And we loved having them. Yeah, because people would walk in and they look up and they were like, "Oh man."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So those were great. Those were great pieces, and yeah.
Wasn't Jeff one of your first bartenders?
Jeff Tackard was our first bartender. We were doing the remodeling, and he was kind of coming down and giving us a hand, and he was, just turned 21. Yeah. And we're like...
Were you taller than him?
Nope.
Yeah.
Jeff he's like 6'6".
Yeah.
But he was...
he should have been cleaning the glass.
So he was our first bartender, and he did a great job for us. He had a couple of tattoos on his arm, and every time he did a referral to his tattoo artist, he would always get more bench time. So by the time he left us, he had sleeves. So they had to pay for one of them.
That was the whole scheme.
Yeah. No, Jeff was a great guy, and Jeff was a great guy, and we had a lot of bartenders with us for a lot of years. And
oh God, yeah.
Monkey and Slick and
I was there for
Alan.
the first Monkey night.
Yeah, Monkey was with us for a long time, and servers were with us a long time. So yeah, it was real family, and that's how Gayl really wanted the whole place, and Bob and myself, yeah, well, that sounds good to us, but it was great. We all worked together, and we were there almost every day, and yeah, it was until and then it's been a lot longer now than 10 years ago, but Gayl passed away in a truck accident, and she was the heart and soul of the Swiss in the kitchen, and Bob and myself kept it going, and then 3 years later, Bob retired, so then it was just my wife and myself kept it going until the end.
Yeah, you had to deal with COVID too, and that was.
Yeah, and then we wanted to sell it and move on to the next generation to keep it going, and we actually took us about a year and a half to find the right couple, and we had sold January 2020 to the next generation, and could have closed on April 30th.
Oh,
and
my
then
God.
COVID happened in March, and so that kind of put a kibosh on for a while. Then we kept it going and renegotiated. They were going to take over September 1st, and then that didn't happen, so then we were kind of forced to close up shop and auction everything off and pay our debts and move on. So,
But not only did you auction off, but you gave things back to the original owners too.
yeah, we did a lot of that.
Yeah.
And then before the auction, I reached out to quite a few people in the industry and sold some stuff. And so it's nice to go around town and see little pieces of the Swiss everywhere.
Well, because
And-
your oven was the first one in 1111,
Yeah.
and your last oven went to 1111 too.
I know I was supposed to get some free beers and food from the twins, but
Good luck-
I don't want to
good
push
luck
it.
with
but
that.
Yeah. And then I had this.
We'll
I
ask
had
them about
this
that when they're
great-
here.
All the beer reps out there probably don't like this, but I had like a fantastic 27-year tap collection, and Ron was so kind to purchase it. So he's gonna hopefully
damn it,
do.
Ron.
I have them all.
He's gonna do something, maybe some mural or something. With
Yeah,
them,
it's Robbie's idea to create a mountainscape out of them on the wall.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That was my idea.
It was your idea. You're right, Jack. It was.
Because I was gonna do it, but it just
Yeah.
I got. Like my wife says, I have a lot of good ideas, but my follow through is
You're absolutely
really
right.
bad.
Word.
Yeah, but I
That'll be a piece of the Swiss.
Yeah.
When it,
And there's like 20
But-
snow caps in there too.
Yeah, they go back. Back then, the old days, they would put a year on them. So then you could get quite a few.
Yeah.
But I did pull out some of my favorite tap handles, which I have in my man cave. Which
Like what?
the grandpa clams and
Yeah.
some of the Lost Coast, some of their really obscure ones. But just a lot of the ones you haven't really
It's
seen.
amazing how much money Red Hook spent on their tap handles.
Oh yeah,
They're so intricate.
Yeah, that garden hose one, all the winter hooks with the snow globes. I mean, they did a really good job.
That was your marketing material in the 90s and early
Downtown.
2000s.
Oh yeah,
That's how you sold beer at the bar.
I know there was a guy in town. Well, he's in Stillicum, but he doesn't have it anymore. But his whole concept was he didn't want people to be pushed towards a beer because of the tap handle. So he had 44 black little pegs and a book with 12-point font, and like, here you go. I'm like going, yeah, I don't like that.
That's music to my ears as a beer rep.
So
That guy will never ask me for a tap handle ever.
I don't know. But I always like to go into a tavern or a bar and like look down the line and go, had it. Oh, what's that? And I mean, there's a lot of, the art behind tap handles is something else. But it might get you to buy the first one, but the beer's got to stand on itself to get you to buy the second one.
Seriously.
Yeah. But I do like a good tap handle.
Yeah. That's a concept people struggle with now. It's a conversation I have with breweries all the time. Your packaging or your tap handle might get somebody to buy a beer once, but it's got to be good.
Oh yeah.
For them to buy it a second time.
I had a conversation with the owner of Deschutes, and back then they had the large oval, and it was walked in and everybody saw it.
Yep.
Well, he changed that to a 3-sided because he was so mad all the time that people put their spigots too close together, and so he walks in and they turn it on its side, or they turn it, and it's like, and so he switched to the 3-sided, but I said, oh, don't do it. But I see his point, but yeah, I'm really finicky. Oh, just kind of when I walk in, and if the taps aren't straight, or it's like, no, they're not really paying attention. So I don't know. There's a lot to it.
Oh, I know you're finicky.
I'm a little finicky about it. I like when I used to
clean lines for you.
Yeah. when I used to take breaks. I'm a little I like things at a certain spot. When I used to take breaks, come back, whoever was bartending would move like 20 things, and as I'm bartending, I would be talking to the customers, and they would go, "He got all of them. They move things all around, but yeah, it's."
And you'd find them all.
I find them all, but I would just keep talking. I would just keep talking and just turn them back, and not,
That's
how my wife thinks I'm a little crazy about that, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's also how you treated when the beer salesman came in. You were always tinkering.
Yeah.
Just fixing the bar up.
Yeah, I'm always tinkering, but then I always tell the reps too, don't walk in with a warm beer. That's the dumbest thing in the world, So.
Words we all
Norm didn't do it, but Norm would always come by and from Deschutes, and he'd always grab ice. It's like, I got a bunch of ice. You're always welcome to come by. And another thing that Dave Wilson, a good friend of mine, he back when he was a rep, he sat there one day and he counted all the handles. He was a salesman for Columbia. He was counting all the tap handles he had. And I went, he got to like 17 or 18 out of like 36 they got on at the time, and I went, what? You got that many? I started taking them away because you can't have that many. That's
what's up. That's what's up, Jack.
Yeah, I try to spread. I try to spread around, and everybody gets a little bit of love, and all of a sudden you got 17. So that was a big joke. It's like, never go into a place and count your tap handles
in front of the person making that decision.
Yeah.
Do when they're not looking.
A lot of the reps, we've always kind of treated the Swiss like base camp. We got together there multiple times a year, and Tacoma, we've talked about it before, but Tacoma has this unusually, it's competitive, but it's also not competitive at the same time. It's a very high tides mentality on the sales side, and we're all trying to sell to all the same people all the time. But when we were all at the Swiss, that shit all went away. We all bought each other beer, and it was like base camp for the longest time.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot of the attitude that,
That was the night before Thanksgiving, before everybody came down to the Parkway to,
get rickety wrecked.
Yeah, the Parkway ruined my Thanksgiving.
They were still the sales guy, right?
Yeah,
everyone would go hang and then come over and. Yeah.
So, Terry Richardson, Keith Carpenter, Norm,
Kent,
and a couple other guys started it, and then it kind of grew, and then towards the end, we thought, well, let's do something special, and so whoever has the most reps from one of the distributors gets the front tap handle. So Columbia, they had everybody there that year, and so they had the number one tap handle right in front of everybody for a whole year. So that was kind of a fun little twist.
Yeah, nice.
And then Terry Richardson, T. Rich, he knew it was going to be coming sooner or later, but I would go through and find all the crappy whiskey that I had or liquor and 2 big trays of shots. And in our mix, there'd be a couple of good ones, and then but yeah, Terry would always get the maple crown, or it wasn't crown, it was some off-brand.
Right. He earned it.
Was it a
Kirkland signature?
Was it a big decision to go to bringing liquor in after being a beer bar for so long?
Oh yeah, it was a big move for. A lot of places, they really don't want it. The stigma of getting liquor in there, but for us, the Rock Pasta was right next door, and we were just getting tired of having that sidewalk worn out between the band breaks and everybody else walking up the street, and then I mean, people are drinking liquor. We're just not selling it to them, and we have to sit there and deal with them. Our security, we might as well sell it to them and keep it,
Yeah. Keep it in house.
Yeah.
I remember that. It was like you'd have your dinner rush, and then it was like, when Cry would have their fucking set break. Like you just get mobbed, and then they would go away, and then they come back, and you're not wrong. And I also remember, like, being family oriented. I remember Walt coming in after the first year of liquor and the Christmas bonus. And this is a funny segue into a great story. I remember him sitting at the bar telling us how much he got for his Christmas bonus. And all of us employees just being flabbergasted. It was an exorbitant amount. And Walt worked in the kitchen, and he'd been there a long time. And this was the same year that we just, our corporate office decided to not have a Christmas party. So, the one time a year we get to kind of get all loose and see each other's private parts and stuff. Like, that's what happens at Christmas parties. It happens. Like, it's just, if you do it right, that's what happens. Like, and so we got a ham and a Starbucks gift card. And I
Did you
remember
just say a ham and a Starbucks gift card?
A ham and a Starbucks gift card.
In lieu of
a
Christmas party,
debaucherous freaking open bar, and
was there also a pandemic at that time?
and I remember like word kind of got to you guys, and I remember you guys and like Gayl had come and approached us, and I was like, "That's fucked."
That was all Gayl, because Bob and myself were going, I don't know, but no, it was like, no. But so we had our Christmas party, and then we invited the Rock,
and it was to come be part of the family.
Oh yeah, no, it was great.
It was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, we used to have some.
It was a big deal.
Those Christmas parties were so much fun.
Yeah, we had some big ones, and then towards the end we started like, okay, let's put a limit on the number of hours, because it used to go on and on and on. So
yeah.
So then we go from like 4 to 8:30, and then we would always pick a new spot in town and let them know that we're coming, and so we pop around town, and it was great.
Yeah.
And Steve Campagna, he's a great guy. He just passed away last year, but he owned the Acme pub crate, the cage. What's that? Pub cage? The
grub
cage. Yeah.
Sorry about that. But we told him, hey, we're going to come up after the party. And he goes, well, I've got a wake going on, and so can you guys come a little later? I go, yeah, no problem, and it should be over by this time. So, okay, well, we roll up there, and it's like an hour past the time that he, said it was going to be over with. And people were falling out of limos and cars. It was getting crazy.
Going to the grub cage?
Yeah. No, from us going.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because some of the employees would get a limo because they would hop around town.
Oh, sure.
And so I go to the front door, and I open the door, and we got 30 or 40 people behind us. And I open the door, and the mother of the son who passed away was like, my son was the best. And we're going to close the door and go, we're at it. You guys, they're still in there. So we had to go down to some other bar. But yeah, there was some good times. But we go to Magoo's, and
biggest buzzkill.
See, I had to work the next day. So there was a couple of AM bartenders who went to the Christmas party that no longer worked after the Christmas party because they didn't show up the next day. Yeah, a couple of them, but yeah,
that's rad.
Yeah, I took the bus down there one time, so it was.
You would paper up the windows and invite the families too.
Yeah, we'd. It was families of the employees, and Bob's whole family would show up, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah. And there was usually some karaoke going on, and.
And Robbie and Justin would go around to each bartender and just say, I'll just drink one. And they would visit all of them. And they were teens. Yeah.
But then for a lot of years, we had Alex Hill and Kenny the Beer Man, or the bartenders. Oh, and so those guys did a great job. And because we didn't want to bartend, and so they would. But we put Christmas paper over the liquor. It was just beer and wine. I was like, I'm not going to give you guys liquor too. You guys could drink liquor when you guys go someplace else, because
much fun.
It gets a little out of control. And then towards the end of the Christmas party, Santa would make his entrance, which was Scooter. I don't know if you people know in town, but Scooter he's quite the character, and he's been a doorman for a lot of places, and yeah. But yeah, him in his Santa Claus outfit, it was something else.
Tacoma staple, man. We're gonna take a super quick break, but I want to hear Sean's fight story.
Oh.
After we come back.
Let's talk about Christmas in July, and then
and then fight.
And we'll end with Fight Club.
Fight Club at the Swiss.
Christmas in July concept, right? That was fucking awesome. So all my favorite beers.
Sean, I'm gonna take a break
Jubal.
before you do that, because Doug is gonna get mad if I don't.
Okay.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, Doug said if he was gonna tap my nutsack with a ruler if I don't.
Yeah.
So
if I
we'll
keep
be right
talking,
back.
you'll tap my nutsack with the ruler.
So we'll be right back.
Just don't measure.
Talk for the rest of my life.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for hanging out. As always, want to give a quick shout out to Channel 253. Doug, our wonderful producer, is Channel 253, and he's the reason this podcast sounds so professional, despite us being a bunch of jackasses.
He's a firecracker.
Channel 253 is a wonderful local network of podcasts that cover all sorts of topics that range from politics to food to craft beer. And if you want to stay connected to Tacoma as a community and as a city, you can do that by checking out channel253.com/membership. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
All right. What were we talking about?
Swiss event, Christmas in July.
Yeah, that's right.
Which, the seasons of beer, especially in the years gone past, like things were very much more seasonal.
Yes.
And my favorite time of year, there's freaking Bridgeport Ebenezer, Sierra Nevada Celebration, Snowcap, Pyramid Snowcap, your darling deer, Belle of the Ball, Jubileo from Deschutes,
Wassail from Full
fucking
Sail.
Wassail,
yeah, we had like
Jolly Roger,
fucking
Dude,
Jolly Roger.
So it was always kind of cool to have Jolly Rogers in the middle of the summer. So
that's what I'm saying. It was like I would love all these things, and I would love them intently and passionately as much as my mind and liver and body could stand. And then the summertime was like these are beers like it's like barley wine. Like I like drinking barley wine all the time. Like I love drinking all the things we just said all the time, but I can't have them.
Nutty
and
winter
then
ales.
you guys did Christmas in July. And all the wonderful things came back.
Yeah.
And
so
fucking awesome.
I think Gayl would make a special, like turkey and cranberry and mashed potatoes. I mean, it was a lot of fun. We probably had giveaways and we'd raffle stuff off, and so those were some great times.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beer was so fucking seasonal at that time, and it was like, there wasn't a lot of places that were actually putting all that stuff on tap in the middle of July when it was hot, and it's like these big heavy beers that people are like sipping on in December and January, and it's like, to see them all in the middle of summer when you're like, oh man, I just can't wait until they're back, and then you see them all in the same place, and you're like, son of a bitch, like I'm going there. Yeah, I can't wait to drink all of that right now.
And that's why a lot of places were back then too were having winter beers and not so much a Christmas beer. It's a tough sale after Christmas for Christmas, but a winter one, it's like in stretch.
Sure.
Yep.
It's just like, everybody loves green beer on March 17th, but you can't give it away on March 18th because that's day old beer, and I don't, but for some reason winter beers they're a lot stronger, and so people are like, they mature, mature, and not with pumpkin. Pumpkin, you better be out you better be out early.
October 20th.
You walk into a place in January or February and like, oh, you still got a pumpkin keg on? It's like,
Yep.
Yowzer.
That's why Rogue started releasing them in July.
Yeah, no shit. It's like, get your pumpkin beer out in August.
That's right. Shout out.
If you're still trying to sell it in September, you have already lost the game.
Yeah.
Thanks, Elysian.
Yeah.
No, because it was a good thing, and then it was like you invite 150 kids to the show, and then there's all the leftovers. It's too much. Yeah. It's too fucking much. Because I remember liking pumpkin beer before I was overwhelmed with it.
Yeah.
Fucking God.
Speaking of shows, the Swiss had many, many great shows.
Oh, yeah.
And
Dude,
I
the
know
music at the Swiss, man.
Cry and Dance Factory, all that paid the bills.
Oh, yeah.
But for a long time, especially in the 90s, you brought in the grunge bands and had a special night. I think it was every Wednesday, if I can remember right. What was one of your favorite shows?
One of my favorite shows was Kev Moe played there on his first album. So it was snowing, and we had a smaller crowd, but the people who were there, they still remember that night. And Gayl made him a special meal, and he signed his 8x10.
Shit.
that was a cool night. But Bob did a great job. If he did all the music for all those years, and Cry was our house band, and people liked Cry, and packed him in. And, but we also did, Big Brother and the Holding Company. We had Dick Dale played.
Oh, Dick Dale.
Just a lot of different bands over the years.
Eddie Spaghetti.
Oh, yeah.
You know that story?
Refresh my memory.
So he wanted his 10-year-old son on the stage, and he refused to play unless that kid was on the stage. And I think Bob finally gave in and let him stay.
Oh,
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, that was, there's black and white rules, and then we live in a gray area. And my wife, when she started working down there, she learned real fast how there's a lot of grayness in the world, and so you got each situation you have to deal with it differently. You just can't go, well, no. And we try to say yes as much as possible. So
great nights.
Yeah,
so much fun.
Red Elvises.
That was a good show. With the accordion.
Yeah, I love that.
And then
our Matt Coughlin of previous episode.
Yeah. And then the Rockabilly for the Hot Rodorama we had for 9 years. God, we had a car show that was not just your fancy car show. This is the Rat Rods.
Yeah.
So it was with the Rat Rods. It was Rockabilly, and boy,
pinup girls too.
Yep, pinup girls, and we went through 250 cases of Paps that weekend. Everybody's drinking Paps.
That's
And
the exact crowd.
We had the streets were blocked off. We had music during the day, and then everybody was music inside, and Super Suckers and all kinds of different bands played. And but the Paps guys would hook us up with a bunch of swag, and so the prize was I had about 10 Paps belt buckles. Big ones, like country
Texas style.
The cowboy buckles,
like country western style.
Okay.
But I would walk by a table and just splat one down in front of a guy that had a bunch of Pabst cans, and then walk away, and it's all his friends were like, "No way!" but those were the Hot Rodoramas. That was so a big. But the Friday night was even. It was the pre-car show, and they would bring a little radio if you wanted to. But no, they would bring a dragster, an old 1960s. The motor's right there, and the guy sits behind them, and he would fire it up right there on 19th and Jefferson.
Holy shit!
And it was so loud.
Oh yeah.
And people would stand 2 feet away from it, and like just crazy.
Burst their eardrums.
And the guy who was fired it up, he was old. He was like in his 70s, and he had burn marks and stuff because he was an old time dragster, and those things would blow up right in front of you.
Seriously.
But yeah, those were that was the big Hot Rodorama days. Yeah. Those were great. And then we did Draft Punk, 253 Draft Punk, where I had all the local breweries and then we had just a bunch of bands playing, and it was a lot of. There was Father's Day weekend, so we tried all kinds of different things down there.
I remember Hot Rodorama. That was like, as far as the rock goes, that was kind of like if you took Parkway IPA Fest and Anniversary Party and crammed them into one day.
Yeah.
Like we actually opened for breakfast that day.
Yeah.
And it was lots of like I would just go to work Thursday and just fucking work until some point Sunday. So you just be there all fucking night, all night. Like,
and they they really didn't sponsor anything at all. They just kind of like, but okay, we'll just kind of be open.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. I would do the same thing.
I remember there was a year where Patrick's daughter was, I don't know, she was young, like maybe first grade, and she had set up a lemonade stand at the end of the block in front of the Rock.
Jeez.
It was more money than any kid could understand. Like, what is this? Like,
that's a high traffic intersection, man.
Get the shit out of here.
Enjoy Harvard.
It was so much money. It's like, you just made $500 selling lemonade at Hot Rodorama. Like, it was. It was an intense party. It was awesome. I loved it.
Dude, the Swiss was like a culture hub in Tacoma, man.
Oh, for sure. Because the art also, the monthly art show is rotational.
Yeah. And I stole that from the Virginia Inn up in Seattle. And so for us, it was great because it gave us a new wall every month. It gave the local artists exposure to our customers. And then it gave us new customers because their friends came and saw their show. So it was a way out. It wasn't one of the best things we did all those years. And it was great. And we always would tell people, tell your friends, come on down and do an art show. And so we actually have a couple pieces from those shows over the years, but I wish I would have bought a lot more.
They're all famous now. That's a thing that a lot of beer bars still do. And beer places are still kind of cultural hubs in a lot of ways, but it's crazy that it kind of all happened in one place in Tacoma. It's a trip.
Like I think we were talking earlier, but it was the Swiss back in those days was a real bad area, and so it was able to turn that around with a lot of hard work and a lot of luck, and it did become part of the social fabric of downtown. And Michael Sullivan always would say that we were the heart and soul of downtown, and so those were always kind words. But we had a lot of help from a lot of people over the years, and they just young and old would like to come there. We have blue collar, white collar, ladies by themselves, and it was just a real mixture, which was great for everybody. I mean, it wasn't everybody knew their name. Well, it's not like Cheers, but it was like, but a little bit like that,
Right. A lot of bit like
you're only a stranger once.
You're only a stranger here but once, like we always would say. So
you also fed those kids at the Heidelberg that were living there. You were their kitchen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they would come down there a lot.
Like you, Ron.
Well, I wasn't living there, but I was there all the time at the Swiss.
It was interesting, like my time in Tacoma too, like how that little block, the Swiss and Buzzards and the Rock, like how much it drew there. Like that was actually a spot. Like there was 6th Avenue, and then there was kind of that area. And there really wasn't. There was dick fucking nothing downtown, really. Yeah. Now what was the?
Well, the other end of the downtown was the Drake, and that was high.
I was gonna say,
right.
And then like the club scene started opening up down there, but for a long time, like it was almost its own district.
Yeah.
One fucking block.
Yeah.
Dude, people were down there all the time, man.
Yeah.
I would get off at midnight washing dishes at the Rock, and it would still be crowded. Like people would just hang.
I lived there.
Yeah.
I slept in my bed. That was about it. Other than that, I just lived on the fucking block. It was.
Marty Campbell, he opened up the Buzzard, and that was great to have on the block.
Yeah.
And
Fuck yes.
Yeah, it was a great.
Also, you were the hub of many social gatherings. A lot of University of Washington, Gritton
Grit City.
Grit City.
It was a Think and Drink.
That's it.
Well,
Think and Drink.
Yeah, but before that was Pacific Science Center, Science Cafe.
Yep.
We do that once
Science
a month.
Cafe.
Science Cafe. We did that once a month. We did 1 million cups in the morning. Different people would talk, but my wife Carol Ann, she did a great job of getting. We were big, and so we could do a lot of things from wedding receptions. We had weddings there. We had retirement parties, birthday parties. We've had people's 21st birthday and had their 40th birthday, and so it was a great place to have big parties.
And Polka Sunday.
Yeah, Polka Sunday.
So much fun.
All you could eat. Gail would put a spread. Man, Gail would put a spread out. And it was all you could eat, and the live polka band playing, and all the older generations of the Swiss society would come down. And we had this one guy, I forget his name, but we called him the Michael Jordan of polka dancers because he would dance with two ladies. He'd get them spinning, and he was something else. And we had another couple. They've been married for probably 60 years, and he was blind, and boy, they could really move. They just could dance together like they were one person. So it was great. Yeah.
Man.
The Schaefer brothers. We did that for years, and until the untimely death of one of the brothers. Yeah. So, but that was polka.
So much fun.
So if you look back at some of the things we did, it was like, oh my God,
did a lot.
There was some crazy stuff. But we had a stage, we had a mic, and we did comedy, we did open mics, we did blues nights on Mondays for many years, and Josh Hill would book all the different blues bands, and it was great.
You guys, that's probably why so many different groups in Tacoma still consider the Swiss to be like, the mecca of, culture for a long time, is because you guys brought in all of that stuff and you guys hosted every group of nerds other than just beer nerds,
Oh yeah, we did. We started doing trivia, and we just did all kinds of stuff. And then we had, there's 4 big rooms, so it's kind of nice. You could, instead of a place that it's so huge, you need 100 people to make it look like something's happening. With the 4 rooms, you could spread out, and
you could do a different thing in every one almost.
We could never really be intimate like the Parkway, but we could be a little bit in certain areas.
Sure.
So like our balcony when we had you could go on the internet, and people would pay money like for half an hour or an hour. We were voted like number 1 place to watch porn for it. But back in the day, the internet was new. People had to buy time. They'd go there and they would buy time, go upstairs. We had 3 laptops, and they would sit there and surf the net.
Number 1 wired city.
Yeah.
Tacoma.
That is a smoking accolade to have. That is tremendous.
Also curious who number 2 was. Come on, big money.
But that was weird.
The library.
Now I think
it was
about
the library, Sean.
Now I think back, that was just weird to have. People would pay money to surf the net.
Internet cafes.
Yeah.
Other ventures, Swiss success into the hotel.
Yeah. Well,
can we please?
Yeah, we had. What we should have done is actually bought the building that Zitco is now with the Indochine.
Oh yeah.
That building. And Gail was going to make it into an Italian restaurant.
And so the hotel was like location-wise?
It was downtown between 24th and 25th, I think it was. Yeah.
Right next to Neener's.
On Pacific?
Yeah. Neener's had mud wrestling.
Yeah, I sponsored it.
Yeah.
Flat out nudity.
Yeah.
Every Thursday, nudity.
Yeah. And they had...
This podcast took a hard left.
Yeah.
Hard.
And Neener's didn't have hard liquor, and we did, so there was 2 tubs out front the door. The girls could walk in the first tub and wipe, get the mud off their feet, and then if they go in front of our place, wipe, get them clean again before they walked in and get their shots.
Genius.
While Cookie Monster metal was playing at the same time.
There you go. But we ended up not buying the building, and we thought, well, let's take this space down here, and I spent a long time remodeling it, and we turned into another club, and it had its ups and downs. But it was funny because prior to it was the hotel, it was the 24th Street pub, which was a gay establishment. So when we took it over, there was a lot of gay memorabilia in there, and we were remodeling, and Bob would start putting up some of these neons and around the place, and I go, and they got little rainbows in them, and I go, those are gay neons. He goes, what? I know they got the triangle, but I didn't know they had the rainbow. And I mean, but the hotel was
good marketing.
Yeah, the hotel was something else, but it didn't fare well after so many years. But but no one died on our watch. That's good.
So the downs weren't that down.
No. But we started. I was telling you guys earlier. We started off doing all kinds of different music, and then we ended up doing hip hop, and then it started going downhill from there. So, and once we lost the police department, you pay for off duty officers, and they wanted more money, and we said no, and so we parted ways, and no one stepped forward, and I said, well, I'll get Pierce County, or I'll get State Patrol, and crossing union lines didn't work really that great either. So, then we became a nuisance because we're getting blamed for stuff that was happening, half a mile, 3-4 blocks away.
Right. So, but like in the hip hop community at the time, like
it was hard
on their radar like that, and you guys were involved.
It was hardcore. It was hardcore hip hop too. So it was but you play with fire, and you get burnt. So we gotta. But we moved on and left that place. But and we went back to the Swiss. Back to home.
Back home. You mentioned the family and all. Like there's, E9 University is a thing, like you and Bob, but Swiss University is another thing too. Yeah. There's been some folks, and I was thinking about that. You coming on the show and like all the incredible people, like our previous ship's captain, John O'Gara.
Yep.
He's a Swiss kid.
Oh, yep.
Yep. Joy, freaking Red was in here on Monday.
Red.
I mean, it's Alan, it's freaking, what an incredible staff for a long time. Like, you kept people around for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
years and years. Like
Walt and Jeff, and they're 25
Sean?
years. Yeah. I mean,
Sean was there a while?
No.
Scooter? You already mentioned Scooter.
Yeah. Scooter and Joe, and we just, it was really nice having employees for a long time, and because it was, all that training and all the other stuff you had to go through, and people loved all the staff, and they would come in and see him. So it was, everybody had their own following, and everybody loved Joy, and like I said, Monkey and everybody. Yep. But and then, prior to that, when we were at E9, Russ came from E9 and all the other guys.
Yeah.
So we had our fair share, and Bob's two twin boys, Rob and Justin, they worked for us. So
yep,
and they done pretty well.
They done pretty well.
Yeah. Well, they're Ron's partners too.
Oh yeah.
I just saw them on TV. They're promoting their Rainier movie, so that's great.
Yeah. Almost like a teaser.
Yeah.
That's our next episode.
Next episode. Yeah, True Life.
Gayl taught Robbie how to cook.
Yeah.
At the hotel.
Goodness.
Sure.
Yep. Also quite the accolade.
Yeah.
Doug says you have just enough time to tell your favorite story, Sean.
Okay.
So
I don't know if I remember this one.
Oh yeah. So fights did happen there, and your staff was awesome and capable, and having Dave Fogg watching that guy handle people. Was
Standing
fucking
on the
incredible.
post.
Josh.
Yeah, well, he also taught
Bob himself.
He also taught kung fu. Fog is very good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So he would every new security staff would go through the training, and then they would always end the training with what the hell's that movie? Patrick Swayze, the
Roadhouse.
Yeah, how can I forget? Roadhouse. Well, that was a training for our security staff. Yeah. But go ahead, John.
No, Bob was incredible too. I remember the first time I saw Bob come around the bar and
he jumped over it a couple of times.
over and around. Anywho, my story. Working next door at the Rock, first year of Tall Ships Festival, so 2000 and early. I remember Brian Barry's there, and we were in. If you enter the Swiss, there's the front door, and then by the actual bar, there's the smoking door. Then you go around the curve, and there's all the pool tables, and we were sitting at the furthest point from the front door in one of the back tables. We're having some beers. A couple of, there's more Rock employees start coming, but. In particular, we meet a couple Russian sailors. Just come over and start having drinks with us, and just friendly conversation. Sailor number one is a God blessed fucking freak of nature giant. I mean, he's got to be 6'2", and 280 for fucking sure, and he's old. And he's grizzled, like he looks like a fucking Russian pirate. Like he's got a brilliant fucking bright blue eye that's like crazy clear, and then one that's a little bit foggy, like no shit,
like a pirate.
Short, curly, white hair, and
the patch fell off.
Seriously, like a fucking pirate. And he's big. He's a big mound of man. And he's with a very much younger guy who was probably around my age, like, I don't know, mid to later 20s. And this guy was probably an inch taller, but he looked like a Minecraft character. Like he was just a rectangle. It's like blocked off. What? And so we're sitting there and we're having polite conversation. And just to get to the point, it gets, we start talking about, like, it seems like they're like, oh, like, you want to go smoke a bowl? I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, we'll do that. And then, like, but it sort of develops into, like, oh, you should come back to the ship and we should do some real drugs. And we're like, oh, no, we're good on that. We're good on going to the ship. Yeah. So, like, if you want to go around the block and smoke some weed, that's fucking rad. But, and then it got, like, it actually got to the point where it was a proposition. You're like, hey, like, what would it take, like,
to get
how much drugs and money would it take? And at the point, like, I wasn't ugly, and I could tuck my hair into the waistband of my fucking pants, right? Like, so, I mean, truthful, right? So, all the proposals are politely denied, and we're starting to develop a little bit of an off-work crew, because that's what we did. We got off work, we go to Swiss, and we drink. And so there's more of us now, and there's still just two of them. And at some point, it was like, okay, like, we're wrapping up the night, going to leave, and the fucking giant just grabs me. Like, he's had enough of fucking asking. He's like, I am taking you to the ship. I'm going to have my man ways with you, and we're going to have
that
some
was funny.
sweet fucking loving.
Man ways.
And, like, just kind of, like, break off and like, okay, everything's cool. Like, what the fuck are you doing, you crazy fucking bastard? and then it happens again. And I don't know if it was a fight. It was more of like getting this giant man out of the bar. And keep in mind, we're in the farthest place from the exit. I probably could have opened the barn doors. But I was like, no, that's not how this went. And the funny thing was, like it's not really a fight. Like, we're just, like, it's a lot of people moving a giant fucking man who is full of fucking rage. Like, I'm talking fucking PCP fucking, like, seriously, he was so strong. Like, Josh is there. Like, there's big people trying to, like, contain him. and it's hard. And so it's slow moving through the pool table section, but then all these like sub fights start. Like people that aren't even like have anything to do with this, like fights just start breaking out. And I remember at one point, like I'm in the pile pushing the fucking guy, and so you got to go around an opening to get to the part where the kitchen and the bar proper are, before you can make your traverse to the front door. And we're getting through there, and that was a bottleneck point. It took a long time. And I remember I just turned around, and this guy was about to hit me in the head with a fucking pool ball. I was like, James. He's like, it was Sean. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that's how, like, it was chaos. Like, why the fuck were you just going to hit some guy in the head with a pool ball?
I just thought this is what you were doing.
And so then it's like the push through the bar, and the Minecraft guy is like, he's in and out. Like, he's not really, at points he's trying to help his friend because he thinks we're being too abusive, but he's in PCP rage. And it's a slow move, and it doesn't go through the front door. It goes through the push bar door to the smoking area.
Yes.
And then we get there, and it's a pile of fucking people, and it's up against the wrought iron, and it's a push and then lifting from the back. Cops come, or off duty is there somehow. Mm-hmm. We get this fucking guy over the rail, this giant of a man. And then the police get involved, and he basically ends up in the middle of the street on Commerce, and they're trying to get him to get down on his knees, and he is not having it. And now he's like, English is gone, he's cursing in Russian, and so they attempt to tase him. Fucking attempt. They tase him, and he's whacking that stuff off, and he is not fucking going down. And they take another round at it, and at some point his fucking pants fall down, and
that's when Sean goes, okay, I'll go with you.
Yeah. You guys got this?
Nips a blasting.
It was fucking incredible. I've never seen so much human mass of rage and unstoppable. It was so many people, and it took so fucking long, and he wouldn't go down. And all of this because some guy wanted to put stuff in my butt. I mean, at this point in my life, I'm super proud of that. I will take any little win I can get.
We had to end on butt stuff eventually.
Maybe not. Other things too. But let's just say.
All right, Grit and Grainers.
Thank you for that Reader Digest version.
Yeah, it could have been more detailed.
Reach out,
and that was a normal Monday night. So yeah.
All right, Grit and Grainers. Reach out and touch us ever so gently at cheers@gritandgrainpodcast.com with your comments, opinions, and new hop process ideas for a Bubba Gump hop farm to add to their hop powder, hop pellets, hop plugs, hop extract, hop leaf hops, cryo hops, fresh hops, wet hops, frozen fresh hops. We read and drink everything we receive, and we'll try to respond as quickly as we can. If not online, then on air. You can subscribe to Grit and Grain at Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. And please leave us a review. Also check us out at Channel 253 and the gritandgrainpodcast.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for episode notes, beer news, and help exhaling and loosening the clinch and moving forward with things and trying to find some sort of new and lucid balance in yourself where awareness and education meets empathy and bliss, and then go all out for drinks and drop ecstasy in a hot tub and have sex and laugh and make a fabulous breakfast the next morning and read the New Yorker cartoons while listening to Grit and Grain podcast. If this podcast is not what you expected, please alter your expectations. You can never be too careful when it comes to living creatively and carefree. No such thing as a bad time to visit Tacoma. No such thing as too much barley wine.
Amen.
Tune in next Friday for sweet chatter. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Grit and Grain is part of the Channel 253 podcast network. Check out our other shows: Nerd Farmer, Interchangeable White Ladies, Move to Tacoma, Crossing Division, Citizen Tacoma, What Say You, We Are Tacoma, Flanders B Team, and Taco Man.
This is Channel 253.